Today our topic is enlightenment. Enlightenment is our topic every day. What is enlightenment? Enlightenment is the complete awareness of life without mental modifications. Now that's a mouthful. Enlightenment is life. It's the complete experience of it in a very pure and pristine form, in the form of the highest light. Within everything, within all things, is nirvana. Nirvana is the awareness of existence without any modifications of the mind. That is to say, that within us and all things, there's a central nexus, a point of experience that is ever present, ever new, and very wise. And that's the mind of the universe, life itself. The universe is within us, and it's within all things. Yet we see life as formations, as patterns, aggregates we call it in Tibet. The universe is made up of forms that we call people, plants, animals, worlds, universes, dimensions, experiences, patterns, the patterns of life. Where do these patterns come from? Where do they go to? What makes them? What sustains them? What transforms them? The central nexus, the center point, the still point in the middle of the turning universes is the universe itself. The universe makes itself, presents itself to itself, through itself, and at the same time is removed from itself. The core of life is light, an intelligent light that we call nirvana. Through the practice of meditation, you can become aware not only of this world in new and deeper ways, but you can become aware of countless dimensions. The dimensions go on forever. They never begin and they never end, just as you go on forever, since you're part of those dimensions and they're part of you. Within us is infinity, eternity, not just figuratively, but within our mind there are matching patterns for everything in life. So enlightenment is the experience of light. It's the experience of the perfection, of the brilliance, of the radiant knowledge that is life itself. At the same time, enlightenment is pattern matching. It's when things come together. It's when things separate. It's when things form new patterns. You know, they say that no two snowflakes are exactly alike. I haven't checked personally, but I take certain things on faith. Well, no two moments in life are exactly alike. They're different. And sometimes moments can join. They move in and out of each other. This is one moment. This is another moment. Moments come and go. They shift. They change. So while enlightenment is entering into a deep state of meditation and becoming conscious of everything, of the whole universe, in its essence, in its stillness, in its peace and perfection, at the same time, enlightenment is pattern matching, pattern recognition. That is to say, it's becoming aware of the many, many facets of existence and how they interact with each other. Now, some things are difficult to understand, I think, for everyone. So, for example, it's hard to understand why we're alive, why there's suffering, why there's joy. Why does life end? Why does it begin? Why do we live just to die? These are the eternal questions. I understand these questions. I've had them. They recur from one life to another. The answer is in enlightenment. People can make things up, philosophies that are striking, that give reason to things. But that doesn't mean it's true. If you want to know why you are, what all of this is, then you must become enlightened. That is to say, you must experience the mind of the universe and have that mind be your mind. I could use a computer analogy. Why not? I'm in the computer business. If you have a workstation, a terminal, a small little computer, and it only has a certain amount of computing power, you can do certain tasks, and there's certain things you can't do. But if you take your little tiny computer And if you hook it into a mainframe, or let alone a supercomputer, suddenly the little terminal that you had, its power is amplified thousands and millions of times because it's patched into a supercomputer. So in the same sense, your mind at the moment is separate from the universe, at least in appearance. That is to say, the amount of computing power that you have is somewhat limited. You know or sense what it is. As you meditate, as you progress along the pathway to enlightenment, you enter new stages of consciousness and new states of awareness. And you begin to access more memory, whether it's past life memory or memory as understanding of life. You begin to experience different dimensions. Life is perfect. Every moment is perfect. And yet, there are incongruities. That's the pattern matching. There is the pain, there's the agony, there's the crucifixion of Jesus Christ, there's the death of someone you love. There are things that don't make sense: war, disease, AIDS, famine, oppression. And someone would say, well, why would a God of love create AIDS? Why would a God of love create death? Why? Well, there isn't a simple answer. Or there is an answer, and that's life. There's the surface of life in which there is pain and transient experience. That's what we go through in a lifetime. I understand. There's the surface of life and the moments that we have that pass through our fingers and are gone. That's experience. Then there's something else on the other side of that experience. Life is a dream. You have a dream at night, and it's so vivid and it's so real. Something horrible is chasing you, and you're scared to death, and your heart is pounding. Someone wonderful walks into your bedroom, and you're very excited. Or it's just weird, or it's just beautiful. But when you wake up in the morning, the dream is gone, no matter how powerful it was at the time, how real, how vivid. And if it was a beautiful dream, maybe you'll miss it. If it was a horrible dream, maybe you're glad you woke up and found out that it was only a dream. Well, beyond the surface of life, beyond the physical experiences that we go through every day, beyond an incarnation, what you call this lifetime that you're now in, there's something else, and that's nirvana, enlightenment. It goes on forever. And this life that we have, whether it's beautiful or horrible, painful, pleasurable, or a mixture of both, this lifetime that we have and are currently experiencing is a dream relative to the reality of the universe. Now, if you like this dream, if this dream is enough for you right now, there's absolutely no reason to wake up. There's no reason to become enlightened. There's no reason to go beyond. Just enjoy the dream that you're in, because the dream is real. It's part of life. Everything that life makes has a reality to it. But some things are more real than others. Some things last longer than other things do. And this life, this moment, this pleasure that you're experiencing at the moment, this pain, this joy, this ecstasy, this boredom, all these things are very transient. They don't last very long, do they? Look at all the years that you've had. Where have they gone? All the years that you're going to have, where are they coming from? This is the mystery of life, the riddle of existence. What is the riddle of life? How can all this be and yet not be? Enlightenment is an awareness of emptiness. That is to say, enlightenment means you take your mind and you merge it with what in Tibet we call the clear light of reality, the Dharmakaya, the essential light, the essential matrix out of which all things come. Doing that places you in the center of the circle, and at the same time on the perimeter, and at the same time no place at all. Doesn't make much sense, logically. You experience reality in all of its stages and formations. The universe is so ancient, and it's so new, and it's very futuristic. And any ideas you have are absolute garbage about what life is. Life is what it is, and your opinion of it is totally irrelevant. That's intimidating, isn't it, a little bit for some people, that you don't know anything. Well, it really doesn't matter. Life doesn't care. And yet you're an expression of it now. That's the riddle. That's the mystery. You know, in Zen, they have koans. What is the sound of one hand clapping, that sort of thing. And what they're trying to suggest is that surface understanding is real, but there are other understandings that can only be gained when you go beyond thought, when you use other levels of the mind of the universe. So really, enlightenment is something that's an awareness. Your mind and the mind of the universe can join. You can conjoin little sections of it and experience different dimensions. You can merge with the purest essence of it, which is beyond dimensionality, which we call the clear light of reality. Or you can experience moments, beautiful and incredible moments, just standing, watching the sunset in your backyard, watching your life fade before you when you die, being born, passing through experiences. Life is the panorama of all things. Enlightenment means wisdom. It means that you've gone beyond yourself and your own experiences, and you've experienced the mind of the universe and do again and again, forever, in all of its ever-changing aspects. And yet at the same time, you go into its center, into its light, into its perfection, into its perfect radiant beauty. And you merge with it and you dissolve. You dissolve the essence of who and what you are into that light. You go into the light until there's only the light. What happens then? Well, you have to check it out. You have to have the experience, I guess. And if you meditate and you follow the pathway to enlightenment, you'll have that experience not once but over and over. You go into the light. You enter into perfect consciousness, and it's powerful. And it changes you. It burns. It burns away all the obscurations, all the karmas, all the samskaras, whether it's the tendencies from this life or from other lives. If you keep going into the clear light of reality in what we call nirvikalpa samadhi, it's the highest stage of meditation. If you keep going into the clear light of reality, then there's only that light. Personality goes away, time goes away, life goes away, space, death, birth, everything goes away. And there's only perfect light. A light that's so vast and so all-encompassing that it doesn't even conceive of itself as light. There's no sense of self, there's no sense of other, there's no sense of sense. And yet there is existence, consciousness, and bliss. Sat, Chit, Ananda. Those are the Sanskrit words for existence, consciousness, and bliss. I'm a teacher of enlightenment. That is to say, I'm enlightened, and I enjoy being a vehicle of the expressions of the universe. I like to teach people about the play of existence. It's something that I became interested in a long, long time ago, long before this lifetime. I've studied with many, many great masters for many, many incarnations and learned things, secrets about life, about its beauty, about its many sides. I don't think I've drawn any conclusions. I just know how to meditate perfectly and go into that light. And I instruct people who seem to have an inclination for that, who like beautiful sunsets and sunrises, who like the vividness of existence. Such people follow the pathway to enlightenment. They seek perfection. Who knows why? Andrew Marvell wrote a wonderful poem, On a Drop of Dew. And in the poem he talks about how the dew comes from the sky and it settles on the grass. And then in the morning light, it evaporates and it goes back to the sky again. And of course, for the metaphysical poets of the 17th century, that was an analogy, an image of how they saw the process of life, the enlightenment process. We are all part of something, life, and yet life separates itself from the sky that it is and becomes manifest. Worlds, planets, dimensions, beings, experiences. And for a short period of time, for a very transient moment, we exist, we experience, we are. And then at some time we have this thing we call death, which so many people fear so unnecessarily. There's nothing to be afraid of in death. Death is life. The little dewdrop is brought back to the sky again. It's reconnected to itself. That's all death is. Don't be so afraid of death. Everybody is such a wimp. You are. You're all scared of death. Death is nothing. We've all died thousands and millions of times, and we don't look any the worse for it, I don't think. There isn't really death. There's just a change in dimension. If I'm in one room now and I walk into another room, have I changed? No, I've changed rooms. If I'm in one outfit and I change into another outfit, have I changed? No, I just changed my clothes. Death is a very simple change. Beings are massing. At every moment, they're being born and dying. Life is changing itself, transmuting itself. Don't be afraid of death, and don't be afraid of life. Fear is something of the body, sometimes of the emotion and sometimes of the mind. The way beyond fear is to perceive life. When we don't know something, we're afraid of the dark, something that's out there, we experience fear. If we turn on the light and we see nothing is there, well, there goes the fear. So the fears that people have, the fears that you have, are groundless against the background of life. If you could truly see what life is like, if you were truly enlightened, then there would be no fear. There would be no sense of disappointment. There wouldn't be anything but joy, because you would see that beyond the transient surface of life is eternity. And eternity is never fearful. It has different faces, you know, and I guess you could be scared of those faces. You could decide that one side of life, one face is frightening and another is amorous, one side is amusing, another is depressing. But those are really determinations that you make, or your culture makes, or your religion makes. Life by itself and of itself is nothing until you give it shape and form in your mind. All heavens and hells are created in the mind. Some people have more heavens, some have more hells. Thoughts and impressions, ways of seeing life, the aggregates and formations of consciousness are what make your life your life. If you want to change the universe, change the way you think, change your level of perception, go beyond thought. In Tibet, and in Tibetan Buddhism, of course, we say, be neither attracted nor repulsed as you pass through the bardo of experience. That is to say, as you go through life, as you go through the afterlife, and are reborn into another incarnation. Whatever you see, whatever comes before your eyes, be neither attracted nor repulsed. Know that these are the images, the phantoms, the creations, the dreams of eternity. And they may seem pleasant or they may seem unpleasant. It really doesn't matter, because they're made up of the very same self-light that when you close your eyes and meditate, if you can meditate, when I meditate, I close my eyes, and I see light. And that light is perfect, and it's shining. And just to experience it is ecstasy. Well, that light is the thing that makes up what we experience. It is the experiencer of existence. It is everything. But if we forget that, if we don't really see it, then of course life can be frightening, terrifying, disappointing. So enlightenment means that we are able to be in the continuity, the flow of day-to-day consciousness. We're aware that we're in a bodily form, passing through time and space, going through birth, death, and experiences. But we can also have another perception simultaneously. We can be perceiving the world as light, as essence, the essence of all things, what we call in Zen the suchness, the formation of life without mental modifications, which is enlightenment. You can perceive that enlightenment, or you can perceive the separativity simultaneously, in which case there's no sorrow, there's no unhappiness. The very experience of life is ecstasy. When you open your mind deeply through the practice of meditation, when you clear out the hate, the anxiety, the anger, the frustration, when you gain control of the mind and direct it towards the highest light, At that point, everything's perfect. The experiences of this world fade, and there's only endless existence. So enlightenment is not something that we experience in some afterlife. It's here now and forever. And yet, even though it's inside of us and makes up all things, we don't really know it. Well, we're back to that riddle of existence again. What is life? Life is enlightenment, but we don't know that consciously. So it may be your karma to be drawn on the pathway to enlightenment, as it was mine. That is to say, to become consciously aware through the practice of meditation of the infiniteness of existence, if it is you're ever so fortunate. Because while everyone else is in the movie theater of life, looking at the screen, being terrified by what's on the screen, or smiling or crying at the happy or sad ending, you can enjoy what's in the movie, but at the same time you remember that it's a film. It's a movie. You can see beyond the surface. And beyond the surface, it's fantastically beautiful. The waves of light, the formations of light of nirvana, stretch on endlessly. They never begin and never end. And their patterns change continually and move and flow. Just to observe the universe at work, to merge your mind with it, to become one with it, and to become those patterns, and even to go beyond them, is ecstasy. Nothing can be compared to that. It is the highest of all things, the best of all things. That which is most perfect is enlightenment. Enlightenment exists, whether you're conscious of it or not. And I can assure you, as an enlightened teacher of Buddhist meditation, that there is nothing to fear, that there's only perfection and light behind everything and inside of everything. And if you don't see that yet, perhaps one day you will. And if you'd like to see that and experience that, then you should learn to meditate, and you should learn to love and not hate, and to have a little control, and to not see yourself as that which is all important, but see life as that which is all important. Get beyond yourself and grow up, will you? What's the matter with you? You're a slacker. What are you doing with your life? You just experiencing it? Kind of dull, isn't it? There are other options on the menu of life. Perception of planes of power, dimensions of ecstasy, worlds of radiant light beyond comprehension. Or you can watch TV, whatever makes you happy. Because you know, no one's judging. No one's in the sky with a big card marking down whether you were right or wrong today. I think life is much more complex and much more beautiful than that. That's an interesting human invention. But life is endless. It's made up of light. And it goes on forever. And no human being's observations of it or judgments of it will ever change its character. People think all kinds of things. You know, thoughts, philosophies are like fashion. What's in Paris today will be exciting. Next year, there'll be new fashions. The skirts are shorter, the skirts are longer. But the female body stays the same. So enlightenment always exists. It has always existed. It will always exist beyond the surface and in the surface. As a matter of fact, it is the surface. Samsara is nirvana. The dream is the reality. And at the same time, there's so much more. So sometimes people ask me when I'm interviewed, I say, usually I'm interviewed by newspapers and people like that because, I don't know, I'm famous, I guess. And they say, well, what is your philosophy? What do you believe in? Do you have a message for the world? I always get a kick out of that. Do I have a message for the world? Like I should, you know, be important enough to have a message for the world. And I never know quite what to say. But I suppose if I have a message for the world, for the people of the world, it's chill out. Just chill out. Stop all this silly violence and hate and oppression. You're missing a really good moment. And you'll die, and that's that, and you'll be reborn. But you're missing a great moment. And it's the moment of your life today. And you know, when you hate, and you're all screwed up, and you're angry, and you're egotistical, and you're macho competitive, you're just some little chicken. You're just afraid. You're afraid to deal with life. So you hide in your humanness, you hide in your humanity, and that's okay too, because that's another part of enlightenment. Every aspect of consciousness, every plane of being, every emotion, what you call both good and evil, I don't know, it varies from person to person. Everything is part of God. God is all things. Atman is Brahman. And that's how it is, and that's how it's always been. So enlightenment is the perception of pure perfection. We forget that sometimes. We get angry, we get frustrated, we get bent out of shape. But that's enlightenment too. Isn't it strange? And then enlightenment is this: the experience of perfect light in meditation. And yet it's daily life, happiness, unhappiness, and things that aren't even in this world. If you're interested in these things, meditate, follow your heart, be still, be conscious. And always be positive, because beyond this transient surface of life, there's endless light, endless consciousness, and endless goodness. Existence ultimately is good. What else could it possibly be? What else could it possibly be? Existence is perfection. In its own ultimate kindness, it creates all of this. All of these worlds, all of these beings, all of these forms, all of these aggregates and patterns it creates out of itself. It makes you and I and the flowers and the death that takes these things and the new life that brings them back. It's a mystery. So aim yourself at the highest. Look to that which is most beautiful for you. Experience the moments of your life in brightness. I guess if I have a message, that's it. Have a good time. Enjoy the show. Eat some popcorn, but watch out for the butter because it's got cholesterol. That's the wisdom of the enlightened. Have a good time with your life. And when it's not fun and it's painful beyond comprehension, withdraw into the stillness of your mind and look into life, into the depths of the universe, and you'll discover that there's only perfection, and that pain will go away. That frustration will go away, that rage will go away, and you will see that life is perfect again.